never asked to be Marshal. Everyone, calm down. There's no need for violence. The votes have been cast, and that's the end of it. Now please, return to your homes. Well, they don't. It's never that easy. Instead, they start shouting in that excited way that they do. Bring us the Lunamaka Ainana! Suddenly, a rock goes sailing through the air. It just misses the side of my head. It doesn't miss the window pane to my left. Who threw that rock? Mahuka, bring me the man who threw that rock! Mahuka? He was here just a moment ago. Kill the Lunamaka Ainana! The mob screams. I'll have to worry about Mahuka later. This is your last chance. Disperse immediately or arrests will be... A dull thud from the rear of the building. I could swear that I had men on that door. Another thud, this time accompanied by the sound of splintering wood. These people are truly out for blood. The third thud gives way to a deafening crash as the folding doors yield and the mob pours in. I never asked to be Marshal. I'm not making excuses, I'm just stating a fact. I did not ask to be Marshal. I told all of them no. John Young, the Chief Justice, even His Majesty Kamehameha III. Here I am, William Cooper Parke, Marshal of the Hawaiian Islands. In over his head, as usual. I'm not sure what the king saw in this carpenter from New Hampshire. Maybe he simply realized that I could do a dirty job without whining too much about it. Now, I've had the honor to serve as fire chief in a place where all the houses are made of grass. As public health commissioner in a place where smallpox is practically incurable. And policeman in a place where the people seem to have lost all respect for the rule of law. Now, they weren't always that way. But I suppose elections bring out the worst in us all. As I enter the Honolulu police station, a building that's been burned down and rebuilt more times than I can count, I'm pleased to see that most of the men are already assembled. Kuli Kuli, a man with a body like a tree trunk, calls for quiet. Here comes the Marshal. Gather around and listen up, boys, I address them. I want a contingent of 80 men patrolling the courthouse grounds. This election is going to go off without a hitch. Well, since the natives first started holding their own elections back in '51, they've traditionally been quiet. I build a rail to keep people in line. I check tax receipts to make sure they don't vote twice, and that's the end of it. But this is not your average election. The people aren't choosing between a couple of hilo bumpkins fighting over a legislative seat. They're choosing their next monarch. Now you see, poor King Lunaleo kicked the bucket over a week ago now. And it turns out consumption doesn't care how royal your blood is. Now, normally, the king would have named an heir, and that would be the end of it. But Lunaleo wasn't exactly normal. He was the people's king, whatever that means. Prince David Kalakaua, still recovering from the walloping that Lunaleo handed him in the last year's election, announced another bid for the throne before the king's body was cold. The next day, a worthy opponent threw her hat in the ring. Queen Emma, widow of Kamehameha IV, a hero of the people, and a member of my wife's sewing circle. I'll be honest, I couldn't care which of them wins. Unfortunately, the people do. Desperately. As members of the Honolulu Police Force, I expect you to uphold the laws of this kingdom regardless of who sits on its throne. My lecture continues. If you think that you cannot perform your duties because of your political preferences, I need to know. Now. Well, you can count on us, Marshal Parke. Well, that big fella again. The silver badge on his double-breasted coat proudly announces that he's the Luna Makai, or headman for this district. I recognize his face, but what's his name? Malka? Omuka? It's on the tip of my tongue. What was your name again, son? I asked him. Mahuka, he grins proudly. We'll keep your men sharp, Mahuka. There's bad blood between these candidates. And when there's bad blood between candidates, there's bad blood between supporters. Well, should we come on, Marshal? That is an excellent question. A man certainly feels safer with his trusty revolver at his side. But then again, I don't know how I would feel about an armed soldier looking over my shoulder at the voting booth, yeah? Our presence is just a precaution, I explained. No weapons. Certainly hope I don't live to regret that. As my men begin to take up positions around the courthouse square, I can't help but feel optimistic. I spy a few Kalakaua supporters making speeches and chanting slogans. Nobody seems particularly wound up. Well, good. It looks like our presence was unnecessary after all. Come high noon, something starts to stink. I'm in the middle of dressing down one of my officers for neglecting to dress up. He's got an old grease stain on the front of his uniform. When an odd sound wafts on the breeze. It's the sound of pounding drums. Now soon, an odd little parade rounds the corner onto Kalakaua Street. Hundreds of natives singing, banging on drums, blowing fifes, waving banners. They come from the city, from Everway, from Wailuaway, all hoping to see the election of their beloved queen. Marshal! Mahuka taps me excitedly on the shoulder. It's Belle! Wonderful. Now what can I say about Thomas Kamukanu Bell? Right? Sure. Passionate? Certainly. But law-abiding? I wouldn't count on it. He's been rabble-rousing ever since Emma announced her candidacy. If there's gonna be trouble today, he's got a hand in it. Mark my words. Today is the day that we have waited for! The opening line of Bell's speech cuts through the din. Today is the day that the Dowager Queen takes her rightful place on the throne of Hawaii. The people let up an enormous cheer. Should we arrest him? Mahuka seems almost gloomy at the prospect. He hasn't done anything yet, but keep an eye on him, I advise. Kalakaua is a liar, Bell's speech continues. He will sell our kingdom to the Americans without a second thought. And Queen Emma will sell it to the British, a fellow from the Kalakaua camp retorts. Mahuka, his big hands clenched into fists, takes a step forward. Easy. I hold out a restraining arm. Let them talk. They'll tire themselves out. By the time the election begins at 2:30, the crowd is still going strong. Now their favorite gripe seems to be the lack of a popular vote. Last year, Lunaleo insisted that the people's voice be heard, so he allowed them to cast their own ballots. Not that they mattered. The real election, then and now, is decided by the representatives, what the people call the Lunamaka Ainana. I wouldn't want to be one of them right now. Finally, the president of the assembly strides out to meet the masses. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this momentous occasion. You are witnessing history. Tell us of the vote! Bell interrupts. Yes, of course. The votes have been counted, and the results stand thusly. 39 for the prince, and 6 for the Dowager Queen. David Kalakaua will be the next king of the Hawaiian Islands. The small ring of Kalakaua supporters erupt into a triumphant cheer, and Mahuka is upon them immediately. Move along, all of you, he barks. But it isn't the Kalakaua supporters that I'm worried about. The Emmaites have fallen into a stunned silence. Mr. Mahuka is right, I tell them. You may return to your homes, the election is over, and Kalakaua is king. He is no king of mine! Bell again. keep his trap shut if he knows what's good for him. We want Emma! We want our queen! Unfortunately, he doesn't. His followers soon begin to shout and shake their fists in approval. Well, this could get ugly. I turn to Mahuka. Ready the men. He nods and begins to push his way through the throng. It isn't just Bell speaking now. They've all got something to say. We elected the representatives, and the representatives must vote the will of the people. Bring them out here so we can show them our will. I knew that it would be loud. Yes, bring us the Lunamaka Ainana. But this is more than loud. The representatives will taste of the bitter waters. This has the makings of a mob. A powder keg just waiting for the spark. And then Major Moehunua steps out of the courthouse. As election teller, it was his job to supervise the votes and count the ballots. But as Kalakaua's uncle, well, who knows what his job was. As he walks down to the waiting carriage, a voice cries out, "There they are! Get the representatives! Kill the representatives!" And then the whole thing blows sky high. With a vicious howl, the Emmaites descend upon the carriage like a pack of wolves, and they tear it to pieces with their bare hands, brandishing spokes like makeshift clubs with which they proceed to beat the major and his men. I struggle to fight my way towards them. Everyone, calm down! There's no need for violence! The mob just surges around me. As the rocks begin to fly and the battering ram crashes through the rear doors, the world seems to slow. And I can see every detail. The man fashioning a club from a fallen tree branch. The major being dragged back to safety, cursing, up a storm the whole while. And the representative from Hilo, I think his name was Haupu, plummeting from the second-story window as the maniac who pushed him leers down with glee. Through all of it is the steady chant, "Kill the representatives." I came here with 80 men. Where are they? And that's when I spotted a silver badge lying in the dirt. Mahuka's. It isn't damaged, and there seems to be no sign that it was torn off in a scuffle. He removed it himself. No political preferences, eh? As I finally stumble through the front doors of the courthouse, I am greeted with a grisly sight. The blood is smeared on the plastering and pooling on the floors. Every article of furniture has been smashed to pieces. Books and documents, precious records that contain the kingdom's vital information have been torn to shreds. And all the while, the rioters are carrying on and shrieking, beating representatives wherever they find them. Suddenly, one of them rushes inside, a look of panic on his sweaty face. "Koa! Soldiers!" he cries. A quick glance out the window confirms his report. God bless Uncle Sam. A body of Marines makes its way down Halikuila Street. Each man is armed to the teeth. Two of them drag a Gatling gun behind them. The Marines form up in a column outside the courthouse. "Bayonets!" a petty officer bellows, and each man lowers his rifle in a steady motion. "Advance!" The first company marches through the front doors. Now, most of the rioters went scurrying like rats the second they saw the web feet coming, but a few troublemakers, they stand their ground. I spot Bell and a few of his cronies making a stand in the center of the room. Idiots. The Marines continue forward, the razor-sharp points of their bayonets leading the way. They close the distance quickly. 15 feet, 10 feet. One at a time, the nervous Hawaiians drop their clubs and bolt. But not Bell. He doesn't budge. 5 feet. Lord Almighty, they're gonna skewer him. 3 feet. Just stand down, you fool! The first bayonet touches his arm, and with a yelp, he hurls his club to the ground, and he rushes as fast as he can out the back door. Oh no, he's not getting away that easily. As I race outside after him, I practically bowl over one of the soldiers. "Oi, watch where you're going there, mate!" he cries in a thick Cockney dialect. Well, it looks like the Americans have received reinforcements. I don't know where this endless supply of Marines is coming from, but it's gonna rub the natives the wrong way. Foreign soldiers at an election? It smells like a power grab to me. I just hope that Uncle Sam and John Bull can keep track of who the enemy is here. I've lost Bell in the crowd, but it doesn't matter. I know where he went. The scattered rioters have regrouped outside of Rook House, Queen Emma's private residence, and they're still hoarsely hollering support for their failed candidate as I push my way through. "Make way! Police business!" A Hawaiian woman answers the front door as I knock. My wife Annie. She's introduced us 100 times, but I can't seem to recall her name. Marshal Parke! What a pleasant surprise! I don't know that I'd call any of this pleasant. Good afternoon. What was her name again? Lisa? No, that's not it. I have reason to believe that a dangerous fugitive is hiding here on Rook House grounds. Heavens! She clutches the front of her dress. But Marshal, I do not believe that anyone is here save for the household staff and a few of the Queen's supporters. Yeah, I can barely hear her over the din those few supporters are kicking up outside. You mind if I check the house? Not at all, Marshal. Please, come in. Thank you. Miss, you are too kind. Now I conduct a quick sweep of the house. Leilani? I know there's an L in her name somewhere. Annie's gonna read me the riot act if she finds out I forgot. Well, there's no sign of Belle. Just a woman in a black potato sack dress passed out on the couch with a large sun hat pulled over her eyes. Please forgive Miss Reed. My nameless friend gestures to the sleeper. All the excitement has worn her out. I understand. I'm sorry to have disturbed you. My lady. Not a problem, Marshal. Say hello to Annie for me, would you please? Damn it. Of course. Good afternoon. I tip my hat and push my way back through the mob to the front gate. Lucy. That's her name. Lucy Peabody. I turn back to the house just in time to see a pair of figures, one of them clad in a large sun hat, slip hastily into the crowd and disappear. Now, I could chase after Lucy and Belle, but then what? Hang them? Cart them off to prison to rot? These folks aren't criminals. They're my neighbors. They're my wife's friends. They're people. People who got too caught up in a moment. People who live in a kingdom that is starting to fall apart at the seams. But just this once, I let them go. I never asked to be Marshal.